Good morning. Welcome to Cabinet on Thursday morning, straight after the council meeting yesterday. The main agenda item is obviously the devolution item. But before we start, I'd just like to welcome Councillor Paul Davis. Paul's not formally on the Cabinet, but Paul's replacing Councillor Walker after his resignation. So welcome, Paul. This will be the first of many meetings. And although you're not voting right, this will be a good meeting and a good experience for you. So welcome. Item 2, if anybody's got any interest, cabinet members or otherwise, please complete the form and hand it in to Andrea, and please email it back to her when you get time. Admission of the public. I don't think we've got any members of the public. We've got no deputations or petitions. Item 5. Questions by members of the public. We haven't got any members of the public, have we, Richard? No, so we don't no questions. Thank you. Item 6, questions by elected members. Councillor Martin Ball. Martin, before you speak, we've got David Shepherd on the call, who's our strategic director for transport and regeneration. So if there's any questions that you want to ask Martin, so we're absolutely clear regarding what you've been raising, yeah, David Shepherd will answer that, so there's no confusion. But I'm assuming that you've probably got clarity last meeting. But anyway, Martin, over to you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for that explanation. Although looking at the agenda, I can just say questions by elected members. Cabinet will receive questions. It doesn't say that we're questioning officers, but if you wish
Martin,
to delegate...
can I just clarify? If there's any questions that come up as chair, to get the facts, I will bring in David Shepherd. Sorry.
You might well bring in Sheard. He'd probably do a lot better.
Right. Okay. Yeah. David Shepherd. He will give you factual answers, because I'm sure your intention is not to catch any cabinet member out, and I'm sure your intention is to get to the truth, right? Yeah, and the facts, and that's what we will try and provide you with. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. So yeah, if we can start the 30-minute clock, please. Do Kirklees Cabinet take their responsibilities seriously in terms of the safety of KNH tenants and residents? Yes,
each cabinet member takes their roles and responsibilities very, very seriously. For example, myself, as a leader of the council and leading the cabinet, I take my role and responsibility very, very seriously. And if there's anything that you feel that I need to be aware of, I'm sure you will let me know. Councillor Peter McBride, he's had years of experience. He's my deputy leader. He's been on the council for longer than I can remember. I'm sure he probably remembers better than I do. He's had loads of experience, not just as a council member, but also pre-1974 in the West Yorkshire County Council. So again, he's had loads of experience, and I'm sure that he can teach everybody a thing or two, and he always acts in the best interest for the residents of Kirklees. Then we've got Councillor Viv Kendrick, again, excellent cabinet member, takes her responsibility very, very seriously, and she's actually brought about the interventions that we've had on back of the children's services. So again, I've got 100% confidence behind her. I've got Graham Turner, who's our excellent guardian of public resources. Without him, I don't know what I would do. And in the past 12 months, Graham's actually, past 6 months, sorry, Graham's coming to his own, because him and our excellent service director, Eamon Croston, have actually sailed us through some excellent work during very, very tragic and turbulent times. And on the back of the announcement yesterday, straight away he was on the ball, providing me and everybody else that needed to know with some excellent updates in terms of what it means. And obviously, it was a big attack on public sector workers, where we were clapping for them, the key workers, and kicking the teeth right here that we won't give them any pay rises. I've got Councillor Muskan again. She's been excellent during a time of crisis, working with adult social care, and she takes her responsibility extremely seriously. And again, she's done some sterling work. You mentioned Almo, Councillor Cathy Scott. again, her role is not just as a cabinet member. Her role is actually working in the heart of a council estate in Chickenley, and she knows firsthand what it's like to actually live in a council estate. And she spent years of her life working with vulnerable and people in poverty, and it's really good that she's actually on my cabinet driving the work around namely Almo and transforming that to something new in the near future. Councillor Naheed Mather, she's been again really good in explaining why we were only getting certain waste products through the tips, and I'm sure that she has some good news in the near future in terms of allowing cardboard to be taken to our tips.
Is that relevant for K&H tenants?
Yeah, you've asked me a question, and you asked me about cabinet members. So the only thing I'm trying to do is trying to give you a flavour of
it was
all my
specifically
cabinet members.
about K&H tenants, and not about the wider.
Martin, I will answer your question, please. If you carry on, I will mute you. And I'm not. This is not a joke. I will mute you today because what it is, right? Yeah, is your questions, right? Yeah. If you need an answer, I will give you an answer. Your questions are political, Martin, right? You might fool other people, but you're not going to fool me. But anyway, let me continue. We've got Mohan Sokal, who's not a cabinet member, but again, he actually does attend cabinet meetings, and again, Mohan's got years of experience, longer than I can remember. Who's actually an excellent councillor. Rob Walker, unfortunately, he's resigned from the Labour Party, but we've got Councillor Paul Davies, who's going to replace him, and I've got 100% confidence in him, who will represent a part of the Kirklees, which does need representing, and I'm sure he'll do a fantastic piece of work. Have I forgotten anybody? No, right. Okay, Martin, over to you.
Thank you.
Yes, you did. You forgot Carol.
Sorry. And I've got Councillor Carol Patterson. I couldn't see her on screen, but Carol Patterson, again, she has gave her life to public services in one form or another. Before she became a councillor, she was a local government officer working in housing, and she's got some expert knowledge in housing. And now she leads on the portfolio for children's services. Children's services schools in our borough have been adversely affected, and young people is our future. So again, I've got 100% confidence in Carol in driving the agenda forward for our school community. Martin, over to you. I'm sure you've got another question or a supplementary.
Yeah, thank you for that fulsome filibuster for 5 minutes.
I'm always happy to oblige, Martin, to you.
Would that were the case. In view of that fulsome filibuster, could you explain then why residents of Bankfield Court in Mirfield, who for 3 months have been plagued with criminal and antisocial behaviour from a neighbour who is in a private rented property but severely affects those in the rented public sector properties, the K&H and Kirklees properties, are not getting the support they see and wish from Kirklees? The situation has just been reviewed by staff and told they will come back in 6 weeks. 6 weeks, which is going to take us after Christmas to review the situation. We have regular issues where emergency services are being called out, the police, the fire service and the ambulance. And elected members and the MP's office were excluded from a neighbourhood management meeting last week. So in saying that you take it seriously, why is no robust action being given to support, defend and assist your tenants in Bankfield Court in Mirfield?
Martin, once again, thank you very much for your question, and it's really, really good that you are a councillor who is actually completely connected to your local communities and individual cases. Unfortunately, because this is a cabinet meeting and it's webcast live, I can't go into details of this particular individual because there'll be stuff that is confidential. But I'm happy for officers to actually look at your individual case and get back to you. I'm sure they're doing everything they can. But because it's an individual case, I don't want to go into any details about that case. Thanks.
Next question.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Will you join me as leader of Kirklees Council then? Will you join me in extending every good wish to Councillor Lynn Petrini?
Yes.
Thank you. I take it from that you don't know who Lynn is. Do you know who Lynn is, Shabir?
She's not part of this council, is she?
No, she's just been installed as the 108th Right Worshipful Lord Mayor of Kingston upon Hull and Admiral of Humber. She's a Labour colleague of yours, but in a real meeting in the Guildhall in Hull, she was installed with full ceremony, robes, etc. A wonderful webcast to behold. But as I said, I hope you will join me in wishing her well in her year in office of taking over as the first citizen of Kingston upon Hull.
I've said yes. I was trying to be succinct, right? Yeah, because I took, like you said, a very comprehensive. I gave you a very comprehensive reply in your first question. I thought I'd save some time and just be very succinct and say yes. And before I could say anything, you just went on and rumbled about one of my comrades in Hull, who was now the first citizen, right? Yeah, but what make your point, Martin? You're getting me confused now.
That's not difficult to do. When will Kirklees emulate Kingston upon Hull then, by having meetings in a socially distant fashion where members are present in the same room as they have been doing for some while, and B, seeing the installation of our next first citizen?
Martin, what don't you understand about the pandemic? We are doing everything. No, listen, Martin, please listen. This is very serious now, because it's not a very good example you're setting. Yeah, I am trying to follow government rules. I am trying to follow government regulations. As we speak, I am trying to find out what tier we're in. We are going to probably be in a tier, right, yeah, where we will have to support our communities, our businesses, yeah. And for you to sit here and talk about something, and especially in Hull as well, Hull is actually probably the highest in the country in terms of the infection rates, right? They've got over 500 cases per 100,000, and to actually mention Hull in that vein is completely out of order, Martin. If you got an issue regarding individual ceremonies or whatever, you can talk to me anytime, no problem. Yeah, and I do try and help you, and I do give you time, and I hope you appreciate that. I do actually treat you more fairly than anybody else. But to actually mention Hull in such vein and trying to actually use it as a political football, right? It's completely not, and even for you, that's in bad taste.
I wasn't. I was using it as a matter of process. So, having said that, we are.
Martin, I just said to you, right? Yeah, that we're in the middle of a pandemic, Martin.
Yes,
at least take something seriously.
I will. And so, having said that, we are doing everything according to regulation and rule, and you having said that Hull is one of the highest incidents of pandemic, a Hull breaking the rules or a Hull doing something wrong?
Martin, what it is, right, is what you said in your question was starting with the councillor who's now the first citizen, and then going into a situation where you're starting to talk about process and having ceremonies and social distance issues and carrying business normally. Yeah, that's not the right way to go forward. Yeah, what I would advise people to do is actually make sure that they wash their hands, they keep isolated to make sure that they don't get infected, and wear face coverings, and at the same time make sure that they do everything in their power to ensure that the disease does not spread. I'm waiting for a call later on today. I've got a meeting with the minister later on today to actually find out how best we can actually control the virus as we come out of lockdown and go into the next tier, and how we can actually try and normalise a little bit at Christmas, but at the same time how we can actually take everything more responsibly. And I wish that your questions were adding value, but they're not at the moment, Martin. I'll be honest with you.
I'm sure the residents of Bankfield Court will believe that they got value from their local councillor.
So we've addressed the Bankfield Court issue, right? Yeah,
okay.
I will get the officers to look at that issue personally with you. It's an individual issue, right? Yeah, and I don't want to go into the details because
it's a collective issue.
Protection.
It's a neighbourhood collective issue.
I am aware of that, and officers are working really, really hard, but I don't discuss individual issues.
Okay.
Next question, Martin.
Thank you. As leader, you previously said that you run the council. So when you or your cabinet members issue an instruction to officers, should that instruction be acted upon and complied with?
Yes, as long as it doesn't break the law.
So when Peter McBride has repeatedly said that in August, the Cabinet has instigation instructed work should stop on the planning of the 3 options for Cooper Bridge. And we have a statement from officers saying they are progressing all 3 options and no decision has been made to stop it. Who's in charge of the council, you or the staff?
Right, okay. Can I get David Shepherd, who's our strategic director, who actually will be able to clarify matters and
he can clarify.
And Martin, please, and if this issue comes up again, I will not allow any questions on this. So, David, can you please provide us with a comprehensive reply to the issue that Councillor Martin Bolt has been raising for a number of weeks?
Okay. Thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Bolt, for your question. In terms of who is running the council and who's making the decisions, clearly the council has standing orders in place which officers observe. Members make the decisions, but everybody on the call at the present time is aware of that. So I'm repeating probably what you already know. Officers advise, and that's the process that we are going through in terms of Cooper Bridge at the present time. It is a lengthy process. I do appreciate that. Infrastructure schemes are necessarily lengthy in terms of their gestation because they have such a dramatic impact in not just in terms of the immediate environment but the wider environment. So they do need to be carefully considered, and all views need to be taken on board, which is what's been happening with Cooper Bridge prior to my arrival, but also since then as well. Members have been quite clear, and Councillor McBride has worked very, very closely with the officer team to give them his political steer with regards to the development of the scheme. But what we have been working to is the West Yorkshire Combined Authorities process in terms of scheme development. That's quite an exacting process. It works alongside the government's own Green Book in terms of Treasury management principles in developing schemes, and there is an expectation that all of the 5 business cases are duly considered in doing that. And in order to do that, we also need to work with Department of Transport guidance around consultation, as that's laid out by the West Yorkshire Combined Authority. As Councillor Bolt and others know, there has been consultation in terms of helping us understand better the options that have been considered. There have been multiple options considered to date with regards to Cooper Bridge, as you'd expect for a scheme that has a price tag upwards of £69 million. £69 million of public money needs to be very, very carefully considered. Hence why we're going through that process. I see no difference with the process that is being implemented for Cooper Bridge than any of the other major infrastructure schemes that I've delivered in other parts of the country. It's right and proper that that's observed. And what we are ensuring that happens there is that we are able to present members at the right time with the preferred option, and obviously with the benefits of consultation. We do expect further consultation to take place in terms of the preferred option. We're aiming for that to take place post Christmas to ensure that we can move forward to securing the funding, because at this stage, whilst the funding has been allocated in the West Yorkshire Transport Fund programme, it isn't fully secure because we do need to have a viable scheme, which is what we're developing at the present time. I appreciate I might have gone on a little bit, but the reason being because the leaders asked me to be comprehensive in terms of the answer. But the final thing I would say is, it's for members to decide, it's for this cabinet to decide what goes forward in terms of the final scheme, and obviously that's something that at the right time we will bring before cabinet.
Thank you. What I'll do is I'll bring Councillor Nigel Patrick in, who's been patiently waiting. So Nigel, you've got a question, please. Councillor Nigel Patrick, are you there?
Yes, thank you for that. Couldn't get the cursor over the mute button there for a second. Okay. Question of a cabinet member, preferably.
Yes.
There is a small bouquet of flowers attached to a lamppost on Springwood Road by the high school. It is there as a constant reminder of a young person who lost her life on that road. Over a month ago, I attended this cabinet meeting and asked for an update on the progress of the Springwood Road school drop-off point road safety scheme. I have not had an update. I am still waiting. This scheme is fully funded. You have the money. You've had the money for a long time. 14 years in the waiting. Still no sign of it being delivered. Do we have to wait for another bouquet to be placed on another lamppost before you deliver this scheme?
Councillor Nahid, can you answer that? Or
I can answer that simply that I've just taken over the highways portfolio this week. I had a briefing yesterday. We didn't actually specifically talk about the roads included in the local councillors' top 5. We are progressing the schemes that are going to come out of the 15 million we got from the government. If the ward councillors put that road in the top 5, then I am sure they are there, but I can check and get back to you, Councillor Patrick. I'm sorry, I don't have enough information. I was only briefed about my portfolio yesterday.
So Nigel, what? Firstly, apologies
supplementary.
Yes, Martin. Sorry, Nigel. You can ask a supplementary, but
sorry.
I think firstly you can ask a supplementary, but before you ask your supplementary, I think firstly apologies and sorry that nobody's got back to you. I think what Nahid is saying is we will get back to you ASAP after this meeting with an update. Anyway, you got your supplementary question.
Yeah, well, when Councillor Mather looks into it, I've just said it's fully funded. It's not funded by revenue.
Yeah,
it's not funded. It's part of
it's already in the programme.
It's fully funded. It's capital. It's funded by ward councillor money going back years. It's funded by other monies to do with house building going back years. And I think Councillor Mather's has had the highways portfolio before, but I'm not sure. In that 14 years, this cabinet should be well aware of this scheme. It's been raised a number of times. You have got to get your acts together down there. 14 years to deliver a small scheme is out of order. And then not to, and questions put at cabinet is unbelievable. You know, it's not a game, this. We're playing with people's lives. That person died well after we initiated this scheme. Well after, right? And I don't want to see anybody else get killed on that road. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We will get back to you with the full details regarding where that scheme is and where it's been progressed. And just for the record, you don't have to wait for a cabinet meeting because we had a cabinet meeting some weeks ago and this issue has been ongoing. You could have always come to me, Nigel, and you have been in the past and I have tried to help you. So please do come to me if nothing happens. Don't wait for the next cabinet meeting and I'll personally make sure that you get an update. Okay, thank you. Any more questions from any cabinet councillors?
Yes, please.
Martin, yes.
Thank you very much. When did the Deputy Leader and Cabinet have their Damascene conversion regarding active travel, as claimed in the press statement of the 16th of November, which said, "It's no secret that as a council we are committed to making it safer and easier for people to travel by bike or on foot." When did the Damascene conversion take place?
David, can I bring you in again, please? David Shepherd.
It was on the road to Damascus.
Leader, I'm more than happy to speak about active travel.
Sorry, I was asking when the cabinet had their. It's not an officer matter to say when the cabinet had a change of heart.
I will make sure you get a proper answer, and I'm asking David to actually provide you with the proper answer. David.
Okay then, thank you, Leader, and thank you, Councillor Bolt, for your query. Active travel has been a priority for this council for a long time, as in years. That's quite clear because of the amount of infrastructure that's in place to support cycling and walking within the borough, which far exceeds neighbouring boroughs in terms of infrastructure. A lot of that was put in many years ago ahead of the popular conversion from many people towards active travel. So that's a great base to start from. However, the council didn't stop there. The council was very much part and parcel of the government's Transforming Cities Fund First Wave programme, and also is going to be a beneficiary of the Transforming Cities Fund Second Wave programme that the government announced very, very recently. That's as a result of committed effort, not just from officers, but from members across political parties, but members saying that this is a priority. It's taken months, if not years, of work in order to prepare those programmes to get to the fruition that the Department for Transport have seen them as positive schemes that they wish to fund. So millions of pounds is coming into this borough in order to support active travel into the future. That will benefit principally a number of schemes within Huddersfield Town Centre, but also elsewhere within the borough, aligned to other major infrastructure schemes connecting within and out with the borough. Councillor Bolt is aware of a number of those schemes because he's been closely following a number and engaged with officers on them. So I would say that that's not been it's something that's been a conversion as such. There is clear evidence that the council has pursued this this particular agenda for a long time. It's pursued the agenda because it makes sense from an environmental perspective. It helps meet the 2038 commitments that the council have made to achieve zero carbon for the borough. It also makes sense economically because we are able to enliven our town centres, and the council has also aligned significant funding to promote town centres, not just in Huddersfield but Dewsbury, and we'll be looking obviously at the wider town centres within the borough. The town centres can only become viable and vibrant places if we're able to address a significant amount of the congestion and parking problems, and active travel has its place to play there. So there are intricacies in terms of a number of strategic agendas working together on active travel. So it wouldn't be right and proper to think that that has been something that's only happened recently. These programs and strategies have been in place for a number of years. Recently, what has happened is that government funding has now become available to make some of the schemes happen in practice on the streets of Kirklees. Thank you.
Peter, can I ask you to comment on the policy aspects of the question as well? Peter, right? On the policy development side.
I'm sorry, can you say it again? I didn't hear that.
So do you want to say anything on the policy development side of stuff? You know, in terms of the active travel and our policy approach to that?
Well, we've endorsed the idea of active travel in all of its forms. Martin keeps going on about cycling. We are concerned about cycling, but we're concerned about all facets of active travel, and walking, of course, is critically important as well. So all of our schemes have improved by virtue of what the Combined Authority has required, that all schemes should take account of methods that might be undertaken to encourage active transport. And so many of the schemes in the West Yorkshire Transport Plan have been modified to enhance that process. And this has been true of literally every scheme that is part of that programme.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride, for that answer, and David for the background in terms of the detail behind it. Any more questions?
Yes. Leading on from that, in dismissing previous requests for active travel programmes, Councillor McBride, on behalf of a response sent to him and other cabinet members, said they weren't a priority for safety, cleaning and in fact making sure that this council abided by its planning consent. Not a priority was the terse reply I got, and that was relating to a strategic section of Greenway, which incidentally was in the Dalton ward. He's also previously said, wrongly, that only 0.01% of the population cycle. Where did he get these false figures from? And will he now correct the information? And by the way, I have it from Wicker, the statistics on how the percentage of the population in Kirklees who cycle. Do you accept that once again, Peter, you were wrong?
Yeah, before Peter comes in, Martin, I'm getting a bit tired of all this, because you know why? You are completely using these meetings, yeah, to play politics. I don't have a problem with you playing politics, but if you are genuine in what you are asking, because you keep, this is now, you've been to a number of meetings and you keep on going about the same old stuff, right? Yeah, we will try and help you, but
no,
Peter,
this is the first time I've raised active travel.
No, listen, no, you've raised it before, Martin. You've raised it before, and one thing for a fact, yeah, not everybody cycles, and no. From my personal point of view, the view is that I want to encourage people to actually do cycling, walking, and everything else to make sure that their well-being is safeguarded. Yeah, the last thing people want on this council is for you, on the back of the pandemic, yeah, to make everything political, because this is not the right time, Martin. If you genuinely want to work with us, yeah, please come and talk to me. You know, if you come to me personally, I will do everything to help, and you know I've done that. Yeah, I'm not going to take any more questions. We've got 1 minute left anyway, right? Yeah, and I'm going to use my chair's prerogative, right? Yeah, to actually shut you down. Unless you've got another question on another. Otherwise, I'm not going to. Peter, do you want to come in?
Yeah, Martin, you continue to convey an impression that we're totally biased against this particular form of transport. All I've said is to try and say, yes, of course it's important, but put its usage into perspective, relating it to the number and proportion of people who use this form of transport, to really put in perspective what you tend to distort by overemphasis. And when we're talking about active travel, the most important form of active travel, which you neglect, is, of course, you hear very little about walking, crucially important in developing people's health, as well as encouraging a form of transport, which obviously is that's as much as I want to say about it.
Yeah. Right. Okay, Peter, thanks very much. Sorry, my connection went there. I thought it was your connection.
Everybody's did.
But yeah. Anyway, look, thanks a lot. That takes us over the half an hour. But once again, thanks very much for the questions, right, from councillors. Next item is the main item on the agenda, item 7, West Yorkshire Devolution Consent to Order. Yesterday, I was really pleased that we had a good council meeting. The Conservative group and our group voted for it, and the other groups abstained, and one of the groups didn't support the recommendation in the report. But we have to carry on. So I don't want to rehearse and go through the motions and the conversation we had yesterday. So what I want to do is just go straight to the office recommendations as detailed in item 5 of the report. Can I move the office recommendations as detailed in item 5? Can I have a second, please, and then we'll go to the vote. Andrea, can you? Thank you. Andrea, there's no councillors that are waiting to ask questions because we had a debate yesterday. So can you take us through the roll call, please?
Yes, Chair. Members, then if you could vote, please, for, against or abstain. Councillor Pandor.
For.
Councillor Kendrick.
For.
Councillor Khan.
For.
Councillor Mather.
For.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
So that's carried, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, members, for your time, and I really appreciate you coming this morning. Once again, Paul, welcome to Cabinet.
Sorry, Chair,
we'll
there's another agenda item.
Oh, right, sorry. I just thought we had one item. Item 8, additional restrictions and grant scheme. Councillor Turner, over to you.
Yep, thank you, Chair, Cabinet. This is the emergency report on the latest tranche of money from government for our business support. Firstly, I'd just like to thank the Chair of Overruled Scrutiny for waiving the right to call this in. It's important that we agree this today and get this money out to businesses. As we well know, following Rishi's statements yesterday, the economy's in the worst state it's probably ever been, if we're honest, level of 300 years. So it's important we do all we can to support our businesses, and this money will help us do that. So without further ado, Chair, can I ask Cabinet to support the recommendations in this report?
Yeah, I'd like to second that. Although the money's not enough, we need to get a start and we need to get this money rolled out. So I'd like to go to the vote now. Andrea, can you take us to the roll call?
Yeah, Councillor Pandor.
I've seconded it. Yeah, I've seconded it as well, just for formality. Yes, I'll vote for that.
Councillor Kendrick.
4.
Councillor Khan.
4.
Councillor Mather.
4.
Councillor McBride.
4.
Councillor Patterson.
4.
Councillor Scott.
4.
And Councillor Turner.
4.
That carried, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. That is the end of the meeting. And what I was saying earlier on is, once again, welcome Councillor Paul Davis. This will be first of many meetings, and I'm sure you'll do everybody proud. You'll do Kirklees proud. Later on today, we're going to be finding out what tier we're in. So I'm assuming that the news is not going to be good, but we have to make sure that we drive the rates down. And if I don't see you again, I'll see you hopefully very, very soon. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, and hopefully a nice weekend. Goodbye all.
Thanks, Shabir.
Shabir, we've haven't we?
Yes.
Carrying on.
Yes, at 11.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a separate meeting.
It says the rising of Cabinet, whichever is the later, so we can crack on.
Yeah, just crack on.
What it says.
Yeah,